Oreos with candy corn filling. Holy hell, yes!
Are you serious?
Oreos are one of the most recognizable and iconic cookie brands out there. There's no denying the fact that the combination of chocolate cookie and cream filling is perfect. Nabisco has felt the need in recent years to really mess with the Oreo formula, resulting in some odd and strange flavors. Here are 10 Oreo flavors you never knew existed.
Mother, Oreo smoothie now!
Caramel apple Oreos.
Like a big caramel apple.
Caramel apples can bring up memories of fall, carnivals, all kinds of fun events. There's just something kind of perfect about biting into that sweet, hard, but still slightly chewy caramel coating and reaching the sweeter, juicy apple center. There's a reason why caramel apples have persisted as a treat for so many years. And yet, the flavor of a caramel apple is so specific to the actual thing that it would be almost impossible to recreate it perfectly in any other form.
Hold my beer.
Maybe you've seen the caramel apple lollipops, which coat a green apple-flavored pop in a sticky, chewy caramel coating. Well, the idea of these Oreos isn't far off from that. However, how much of the classic candy apple flavor can really be contained in an Oreo cookie? That's the real question here. The other question is how caramel and fake apple flavor are going to appeal to anyone that just wants to have a cookie. Because the real issue is the fact that the neon green apple cream can't possibly taste like anything close to the real thing. When it comes down to it, this might just be an Oreo flavor you wish didn't actually exist. Unfortunately, now you know it does, and it might just compel you to try it for yourself.
3 words for you. Treat yourself.
Cotton candy Oreos.
I'm wondering which wine pairs best with the Oreo cheesecake.
Cotton candy, the sweet, sticky staple of any baseball game, county fair, or other outdoor event. It's the kind of thing that kids love and parents hate. Why? Well, giving a kid cotton candy is essentially giving them a big bowl of straight sugar, only it's fluffy, sticky, and usually fun colors. However, if you tried to nail down the flavor of cotton candy, what exactly would it be? It's sweet, obviously, but what else?
I wouldn't know that.
You don't know. Okay.
Is there really any depth of flavor to cotton candy? Not really, which is why it's so weird that there would even be cotton candy flavored Oreos in the first place. It almost seems like these Oreos exist solely for the purpose of having the cream be fun colors, right? Because really, what kind of flavor profile are you going to get from something that is trying to replicate cotton candy? It's just sugar. So what do we end up with? Sugar flavored Oreos, essentially. How is that going to satisfy anyone? Then again, if someone is really craving sugar, these might just be the best remedy. Still, most people would probably rather stick to the regular old Oreos than these odd concoctions. After all, eating these is definitely not going to be the same as having that giant bag of cotton candy right before you get on a roller coaster. Always a bad idea.
Walking around pouting like your little sister took your last Oreo.
Cherry Cola Oreos.
Instead of the Coke, I want a McFlurry with extra Oreos and make sure they stirred in.
Cherry Cola gets a bit of a bad rap. There are plenty of people out there who find the idea of adding any sort of fruit flavor to their cola almost sacrilegious. But then again, there are proponents of such a flavor combination.
I have to drink my Cherry Coke Zero.
After all, cherry and cola just seem to go together so well, the sweetness of each flavor element nicely balancing out the other. Now, cherry cola on its own is one thing. It can be a really refreshing drink to have on a hot, sunny afternoon after all. But cherry cola flavored things are another ballpark entirely. That includes these odd cherry cola flavored Oreos. What makes these Oreos that are supposed to taste like a beverage so strange? Well, let's just dive right into it, shall we? First of all, trying to distill the very essence of cherry cola flavor into a cookie seems like a fool's errand right out of the gate. Cherry cola is something that has a very distinct flavor and texture profile, mainly that it is wet and fizzy. So how exactly does Nabisco try to capture that essence in a cookie? The answer might make you laugh. The cream in these Oreos contains Pop Rocks. Yes, that's right. Pop Rocks, the popping sugar candy that is supposed to replicate the fizziness of a cold soda. However, it seems unlikely that the minuscule amount of Pop Rocks in the cream would actually be able to make any difference. Also, anyone who knows their urban legends knows it's a bad idea to put Pop Rocks and soda in the same place.
Stop it. Don't eat one more cookie. Put that cookie down. Do not eat that cookie.
Candy corn Oreos.
Are those candy corn Oreos?
Is there any other candy that is quite as despised as candy corn? First of all, why would anyone think that naming a candy after corn would make it seem more appealing? Of course, candy corn does come from the era when anything that was made with a remote amount of sugar was considered to be the greatest thing in the world. So there's the answer, we guess. Still, there's just way too much about this particular candy that makes it off-putting. It could be the texture, which is waxy and unpleasant to an almost disturbing degree.
Candy corn looks like tiny traffic cones.
It could also be the flavor, which is a flat, sickly sweetness that can overwhelm your taste buds with even just one piece, and not in a good way. Then there's the color. Each piece of candy corn is actually designed to look like a real corn kernel. Doesn't that sound appetizing? Why on earth did Nabisco think that candy corn Oreos would be some kind of a masterpiece?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
A moment of pure genius. Really, all they are is a sad reminder that even massive corporations, with enough money to throw at any problem, will eventually start to run short on ideas.
I haven't seen you this dumb since you got that candy corn tattoo.
It's a lightning bolt.
Hot and spicy cinnamon Oreos.
Anytime someone says, "Oh, this is so good, what's in this?" the answer invariably comes back, cinnamon, cinnamon.
Valentine's Day can be a happy day for some people, but usually it's just a normal day for most. At least that's true if the person is single. Then again, even some couples can't be bothered to always celebrate Valentine's Day.
Better luck next time, Lance.
Either way, one of the most concrete memories of Valentine's Day, especially for kids, is the cinnamon hearts that, without fail, are handed out in classrooms everywhere. Does anyone actually like these things? It's basically spicy candy, and it does absolutely nothing for your sweet tooth. These heart-shaped disappointments are really the first time children learn that not everything is as it appears. Sure, they look like sweet, delicious candy that is going to taste great, but guess what? They're not. These cinnamon hearts lack any trace of sweetness and instead impose an unpleasant burning sensation throughout your mouth.
I call it hot because it's spicy.
Even if they just had a hint of cinnamon, that would be better, but it's like the guy in charge of deciding how much cinnamon flavor they should have flipped the switch to the way too much setting.
Hot and spicy.
Anyway, these Oreos don't even lie about the fact that they're going to be spicy. And who's reaching for an Oreo when wanting a spicy cookie anyway? Unless you're the kind of person that likes to ruin ordinary food with inordinate amounts of burning sensation, stay away from these things.
Oreos.
Watermelon Oreos.
You are Hydrox, Mr. Haverford. We are Oreo.
Peanut butter and jelly, tomato and basil, watermelon and milk. One of these things is not like the other. If you immediately pointed out the fact that watermelon and milk are not two tastes that go together, then congratulations! You have far more sense than whoever came up with the idea for watermelon-flavored Oreos. Look, we're not going to sit here and bash on watermelon, so let's just take a minute to examine the fruit itself.
Oh, my life! Everything's wrong!
Watermelon is by far one of the most refreshing summer fruits out there. Its high water content essentially ensures that it will not only fill you up when you're hungry, but it will also quench your thirst on a hot, sunny day. Who doesn't want that in their fruit? Watermelon-flavored things, on the other hand, are a whole other story. Often, when you eat a watermelon-flavored candy, the first thing you might think is, wow, this is delicious. The second thought you might have, however, is probably more along the lines of, this is absolutely not what watermelon actually tastes like. Watermelon Jolly Ranchers are a great example of this phenomenon. So why Nabisco felt that watermelon-flavored Oreos would somehow be a smash hit is beyond reason. After all, when you're reaching for a cookie, you're not really expecting something with watermelon flavor, and it's certainly not something you want to dip into your milk. A cookie should be more of a savory sweetness, rather than the kind of sweet you get from watermelon. Besides, without the texture and juiciness of watermelon, the flavor just falls flat.
Sorry, I finished the Oreos in the cab.
Cookies and cream Oreos.
Let's eat cookies and ice cream and dress in pajamas in the middle of the day.
So it's come to this. Oreo-flavored Oreos. Has there really been such a shortage of ideas that Nabisco had to reduce itself to creating meta Oreos? These things are just laughable more than anything. In fact, you have to laugh at them. Otherwise, you might realize just how sad it is that a major corporation let this idea get all the way through the testing phases sizes and into the market.
They have cookies and cream.
What exactly does a double Oreo taste like? Is it backed with 50% more Oreo flavor? Would you bite into one and go, wow, I can't believe just how much Oreo flavor there is packed into this one cookie. Everything I have ever believed in is meaningless next to this cookie, which is clearly the apex of all human evolution. Nothing we achieve will be greater than this. Come on, more than likely you would take a bite out of one of these things and say, yes, this tastes like an Oreo. Does it even taste a little bit more like an Oreo than a regular Oreo? Perhaps. And everyone will think you're crazy because you're talking to yourself while eating cookies. What it all boils down to is that we're more disappointed than anything.
So is cookies and cream.
There's a whole world of flavors out there to explore, and Nabisco is spending their time making Oreos that just taste like themselves. This would be like making pizza-flavored pizza, right? You know what? That actually sounds awesome.
My pizza never hurt nobody.
Cookie butter Oreos.
You want milk and cookies?
No.
Have you ever been walking through the grocery store and you noticed a jar of something called cookie butter? You might have asked yourself, now I've heard of peanut butter and even apple butter, but what in the darn heck is cookie butter? Well, allow us to explain to you this strange culinary phenomenon. Cookie butter is the combination of crushed and pureed speculoos, a type of spiced biscuit, with some kind of fat. Usually, surprise, butter.
Pass the butter.
It then becomes a spreadable cookie paste that you can put on just about anything. It's a huge thing in the Netherlands and Belgium, but in the United States, it's not quite as popular. So what exactly would you expect a cookie butter Oreo to taste like? Well, for one thing, there's no doubt that it would be packed with cookie-flavored goodness, right? After all, if you're going to eat a cookie, then it might as well be the cookiest cookie you've ever eaten. Cookie butter cream on 2 Oreo cookies? How many times can we possibly say cookie before you get it? We've already covered the fact that Oreo-flavored Oreos are just kind of a weird idea, but at least cookie butter Oreos are trying to do something a little bit different, right?
It's just like an Oreo, but Trader Joe's style.
Fruit Punch Oreos. The Fruit Punch Oreos are artificially flavored. You don't say. After all, is there anything more artificial than bright red fruit punch? Think back to being a kid and drinking cup after cup of the stuff, without even considering the fact that each time you finished the glass, you were ingesting probably enough sugar for a week. Now, we want to ask you this question. What does fruit punch taste like? Think about it for a second. Really concentrate on the flavor of fruit punch. Which fruits are you tasting?
I don't understand.
Because to us, it seems like fruit punch is basically just a nondescript, tangy sweetness that doesn't really resemble the flavor of any fruit that we've ever tasted. We have to wonder what exactly fruit punch Oreos are meant for. When you think of an Oreo, part of the vision you have is dipping it into a cold glass of milk. But just as it was with the watermelon Oreos, we have to wonder if fruit punch is really going to go well with the flavor of milk. Maybe you just dunk these cookies in more fruit punch.
Half off all Oreo overloads and birthday cake remixes. I'll be scooping it up personally. Oh, what?
Root beer float Oreos.
Root beer guy, get your head back in the game.
Finally, the #1 unknown Oreo flavor, root beer float. Once again, we're dealing with a soda-flavored cookie. What makes this slightly better than the cherry cola Oreos, however, is the fact that it utilizes the idea of a root beer float for flavor, meaning that along with the root beer flavor, you're at least getting a hint of vanilla from the ice cream part of that particular flavor combination. Are these Oreos tasty? Maybe, but we can't really see a need for them unless you happen to be a big fan of the flavor of root beer.
They haven't really improved on the Oreo, have they?
It just doesn't exactly seem like the kind of flavor that is going to feel at home in a cookie. Far be it from us to say whether these would be gross or delicious. We just think that they're kind of weird. Of course, if you're a root beer fanatic, we think you should go for it and give these Oreos a try. We definitely aren't going to judge the taste of anyone else. In fact, why not try all the flavors on this list? It might be true that we were wrong about them, and they all actually taste great in their own way.
You got any Oreos?
Stay right here and click on one of our other great videos. And if you're new to our channel, then smash that subscribe button and ring that bell to join our notification squad. We want to give a big shout out to our newest Babble Top members, Charles Butler, Edwin Patterson, Fernando Herrera, and Ken Eck.